All right, so now after we do all of that, then we want to combine the like terms together. So I'm going to take my 20v, I don't have any more 20v squareds, so that'll be the first term I write. And why is it the first term I write? Because it's the highest exponent, right? Now we're going to combine the negative 25 and the negative 16. Can you tell me how much that is? Negative 41v. And don't say v to the second, because again, when we're combining like terms, we do not do anything with the exponents. Okay, then your constant is last. So that's the order it should be in. Okay, going down to number 5, we're going to do the exact same thing again. M times 2m is 2m squared. M times negative 2 is negative 2m. Okay, then I start distributing with my 1. 1 times 2m is positive 2m. Is that right? Negative 2m, positive 2m. And then negative 1 times, positive 1 times the negative 2 would give me what? All right, negative 2. Okay. So now I'm going to have these cancel out. Is that right? All right, so I have 2m squared minus 2. Is that right? Yes? Okay. Okay. I want to do one like this where it's squared, because I'm still getting students, and maybe do number 8 since it has a number in front of the first term. I'm still getting students to say that's 64b squared plus 16. That is not what that is, okay? So this squared, that means that you need to write the problem down again. Okay, you need to write the binomial again, because you're multiplying the binomial times itself. So 8b times 8b is 64b squared. And then you're going to multiply 8b times 4. That's going to give you 32b. And then you start with the 4. Okay, 4 times 8b is also 32b. And 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, first, outer, inner, last. All right, we can combine the middle terms. Okay, the 32 and the 32 is 64. And then plus the 16. Okay. And everyone should get this part right, because you can see all we're doing is just using the distributive property. Okay, just remember, if it's squared, you got to write it out again. All right. Now, keep in mind, this is a special situation, because what do you notice about these two binomials? They're the same, except for one's a plus and one's a minus. So what's going to happen there when you do that one, since I did number 8, the middle terms will cancel out. Okay, but you can see that, once you distribute it out, it'll all work out for you. All right, so there will be a section on the test that says factor using any method. So you get to use any method you want here. So obviously, the method that we've learned in class is the X method. Okay, and you know how to make your X. Okay, you know that the A times the C term goes here. Your B goes at the bottom. Your factors go on the side, divided by the A term. Okay, you have to know how to set that up. If you don't divide by the A term and you only do the factors, your answer is not going to be correct. All right. Now, I did tell you that when this coefficient is 1, you don't have to do this entire X method. You could just say what times what gives me 63. That adds up to 16. You don't have to do, you can, but when that coefficient is 1, there's no need to do it. All right, I guess that's my point. So give me two numbers that will add up to 16 and multiply to get 63. Yes. Okay, 9 and 7. Plus 9 and plus 7. Okay, so x plus 7, x plus 9. All right, so now let's do number 11. Now that's a big number, and I can already see that at least all of them are even numbers. And what can go into any even number? 2. So let's try dividing everything by 2 first. So what is 12 divided by 2? 6. All right, so 6a squared. What is 76 divided by 2? Okay, 38A. And then what is 288 divided by? Now, okay, what do I notice again? So obviously 2 was not the greatest number, because what do you notice? There's still what? There's still what type of numbers? Even. Okay, so that meant that I did not use the greatest common factor. So let's do 2 again, which obviously means the greatest common factor must have been a different number. So give me this. What's 76 divided by 4? All right, so when you do 2 again, the second time, that means that 2 times 2 is 4. Your greatest common factor should have been 4. All right, let's do it again. 3a squared. What is half of 38? 19. And what's 144 divided by 2? Come on, guys, you got these big calculators in front of you. How much? I heard like 5 answers. All right, okay, I should hear the same answer, which means we're going to do this. We're going to just change this to a 4. But I wanted you to see that if you do 2 and you look and see, oh, these numbers are still even, that means, and you divide by 2 again, that means that your GCF should have been 4. And it's okay to do that, okay? Because if you could at least recognize that, oh, wow, the numbers are even, and you divide by 2, but if they come out even again, you got to do it again, okay? So, because some students say, oh, I can't tell that it was divisible by 4, which is fine. If it's going to be divisible by 4, you're probably going to be divided by 2 twice, right? Okay, so now we're ready to do that whole X thing. Okay. Actually, I just moved everything. Hold on one second. So go ahead and see if you can create your X. We're going to multiply the A times C. So that's going to give us a big number. Okay, so who can tell me what negative 72 times 3 will give us? Somebody help me out. Negative 72 times 3, yes. No. Give me what negative 72 times 3 equals to first.
Negative
216. Negative 216?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then what goes at the bottom? The middle number goes at the bottom, that's 19. And you guys remember how to put this on your calculator? Okay, I'll walk you through. Those are the steps you put into your calculator. So you're going to put in negative 216 divided by X. Then you're going to go in the second row, put X plus alpha trace, enter. Then you're going to go to the table. Okay, so when you go to the table, guys, you're going to see this. You're going to see 3 columns, and this is the Y2 column. You are looking for this number right here, 19. Okay, you're looking for 19. When you find 19, these 2 numbers are what will go as your factors. Anybody find 19? All right, who found it? One person? Yes. Say it again. 27 and negative 8. How many people see that? Okay, you got to be able to get that off your calculator. So tell me the numbers again we saw in the calculator. Negative what? Negative 27 and 8. Was that right? Okay, positive 27 and negative 8. Is that right? Okay, now we're not done, because once you get your factors, you have to divide by what? The A term. Okay, so don't think you're finished. Okay, then you're going to divide by 3. Okay, now can we reduce 27 over 3?
Yes.
To what? 9 over 1. So we want to make this equal 9 over 1. Okay, are we ready now to put everything together? So when we put this together, remember we took out this 4 at the very beginning. That 4 still has to stay out there. So, because otherwise we would not be able to get back to the original problem without not multiplying by 4, right? So we're going to start from bottom up. Remember, the bottom number is your X. So this is X plus 9. Bottom up, 3x minus 8. How do we do? All right, number 13. Now, this particular one is a special case. How do I know that? Because if I take the square root of 9, what is the square root of 9? 3. And if I take the square root of 1, which is 1, and I multiply and double them, I get exactly. Okay, it's the number 6 in the middle. Now, if that's confusing to you, you can still do this. 9 times 1 is 9. Put this at the bottom. So then you can say, okay, well, what times what gives me 9? That can add up to -6. What do you think? -3 and -3. Okay, and then you would divide by your A term. What is your A term? 9. And then we will reduce each one to -1/3. All right, so then I start from bottom up. 3x minus 1, and they're the exact same factors on each side, so I can just say to the second power, or I can write it twice. So now I'm going to do 14 because 14 is a special case too. How do I know 14 is a special case? What do you notice about these two numbers? They're perfect squares, and there is a minus sign. We call that the difference of two squares. And that one you will have to be able to recognize. You got to be able to recognize perfect squares. And it has to have a minus sign. And basically all you do is take the square root of each number. So that's going to be 5r plus 1 and 5r minus 1. So you just make them opposites of each other because there's no middle term. Take the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 1 is 1. Put a plus and a minus. All right, so we're going to look at problem 17. And actually, just like on the test, you'll have like one of these will probably be a multiple choice. Okay, I don't think I did 2 on the test. I made one of them a multiple choice. And what does it tell you to do? It doesn't say divide. What does it say? It says multiply, right? So that means we have to distribute this 2x to the second to both of these. Then take the 6x, just a whole bunch of distributing. Do it again, and then take the last term and do it again. All right, all distributive property. So let's just go ahead and do it. So I'm going to say 2x squared. Sorry, give me 1 second here. All right, so 2x squared times 5x will give me what? 10x to the what power? Third. Now I already know that the answer has to be C, just because that's the only one with 10x to the third, but you got to show the work on the test, all right? So just to let you know. All right, and then I'm going to do 2x to the second times 2. So what is that going to give me? 4x squared. All right, and now I'm going to start with the 6x. You just keep going. 6x times 5x is 30 what? And see how I put it underneath? I'm already going to combine them together as I go instead of making one long line and then have to group them later. Okay, I just like the vertical method better. And then 6x times 2 is what? 12x. All right, so that's what I have so far. Now I'm going to take the 6 and do the exact same thing. 6 times 5x is what? 30x. And see where I'm putting the 30x? Under the 12x. And then 6 times 2 is what? 12. And see how I already got everything aligned. Okay, and obviously it comes out to this answer right here. 10x to the third plus 34x squared plus 42x's plus 12. Okay. So you'll do the same thing to this one, except for, I think on your test, it's not a multiple. One's a multiple choice and one is not, okay? But you can see how it's just multiplied. It's just using the distributive property. All right, the only directions, now I do have 2 like this, but I do not put the words factor by grouping. I just say factor completely, okay? But what gives it away that you should be factored by grouping is what? Huh? Because how many terms do you have? You have 4 terms. And remember, our X method only works for trinomials, right? So when you have 4 terms, you're going to group them this way. Okay? So that's what you want to do. Now, when you group them, then what you're doing from there is you're taking out the greatest common factor in each group. All right? You're pulling out the GCF in each group. So when I look at 56 and 32, I'm just going to do the number part first. What is the largest number that can go into 32 and 56? 8. Very good. And then when I see that both of them have x's, I always choose the smaller of the two. So that's going to be 8x to the second. And then what you can do is divide these by 8x to the second, because that's what you're doing. Okay, you're dividing each term by the GCF. So when I divide, 56 divided by 8 will give me 7. And then when I subtract my exponents, what's x to the third minus x to the second? That's going to just give me x. Minus, what is 32 divided by 8? 4, and the x squares cancel out. Okay? Because x squared and x squared is x to the 0, which is really anything to the 0 power is 1. All right? Right now, your minus sign. Now, what does this minus do to this sign in here? It's going to make it negative. Okay, those minuses, guys, change things. So this is going to be, what is my GCF? 5. So we're going to put a 5 out here, and now we're multiplying both of these by 5. And if you've done it right, these should come out to be the same, and they do. Okay, they have to come out to be like factors. All right, if you've done it correctly. Because when I distribute this back, a negative times a negative, I haven't changed the problem. Okay, but that negative changes that to a negative, all right? So how do I put this together? Okay, I take the 2 outside, they go together, the 2 GCFs. So that's the 8x squared minus 5, and then I take the 1 that's common and put together. Okay, everybody with me on that one? Was that a guess? Okay, all right. Because you're here to ask questions. So if you have a question, just stop me and, I can answer it. All right. Yes, that should have been a -4, not a -5. Yes. Thank you. Okay. All right, so let's move on to dividing. This is our last topic that we did this week on dividing. And dividing just really deals with all factoring. All right, so if you know how to factor, this wasn't a problem. You still need some more practice, then you probably found this part a little bit more challenging, right? So let's go ahead. Now, what I would do is put this under here. Okay, I would write it so it looks like the division that looks that way. Because remember, I told you there's 3 ways you can see division, right? So I will put it underneath, and then I will go ahead and factor the numerator. Okay, I know I'm going to have m times m for the m squared. Right, now what times what can give me 36? It adds up to 13. Think about it. 9 and 4, very good. Plus 9, plus 4. That's a 4. All right, so I can see that these will cancel out, and your answer is just m plus 9. So that's the basis of it. Factor, cross out common factors, but you got to get everything in its simplest form first. All right, let's do 24. I'm going to do that one just because 22 and 23 is very similar to 21. So let's do 24 together. So do you see anything that these 2 terms have in common? What's the largest number? Now you got to try to think of the largest that can go into 24 and 48. Is it 24? Yes? Okay, how about for the variables? Do I choose x or do I choose x squared? I choose x. So you're dividing both of these, both of these terms at the top by 24x. Okay, so I'm going to be left with x in the first term, And you can always distribute it back out. Will 24x times x gives me 24x squared? Yes. All right. And then when I multiply 24, divide, that is, into 48, that's going to give me what, 2? Is that right? And the x's cancel out. All right. Let's do the bottom. What can go into 40 and 72? Help me out. 8. Is that the largest one? 8x. All right. We'll find out in a minute, because if I got something inside that's still common, that means I didn't choose the largest one. So if I divide both of these by 8x, what will that give me for the first term? 5x minus what? 9. Okay. Now, the binomials cannot cross out, because they're different. One is 5x minus 9, one is x minus 2. However, I can cross these x's out, and I can also simplify the 24 and the 8. Correct? What is 24 divided by 8? 3. And so your answer would just have the 3 at the top. There you go. Okay. So I reduced these to 3. I crossed out the x's. Are you guys still breathing? Okay. All right. You got a question, Yara? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's tackle number 25. Oh man, that's a good question right there. It's a lot of factoring going on. Okay, let's see. We've been factoring, so let's see how we do. Okay. All right, first thing I'm going to do is just rewrite this so it's in multiplication form. So I'm going to put times and then put the 10b squared minus 42b plus 36 at the top, and bring the other part down here. Okay. All right, so we have a lot of work to do here on this one. All right, we got a lot of factoring to do. So let's just get those calculators out. We're going to be doing some x methods and multiplying a times c. Now, I already see that all of these numbers here are even. I see all of these numbers here are even. So I'm definitely going to be taking out like a 2 here and a 2 here. All right, so I already see that. So let's do the ones, this one here. Let's do this one first. There's no common factor with 3, 14, and 80. All right. So let's just go ahead and do it. Who can tell me what 3 times negative 80 will give us? Negative 240. All right. And then my middle term is what? Negative 14. So this is what I'm going to be looking for in the calculator. So go ahead and hit your y equals key. Put in negative 240 divided by x. Okay, and then you remember in the second row, you hit x plus alpha, trace, enter. Okay, you got to practice that, all right? And then in that third column, again, okay, you're looking for negative 14. And whatever those 2 factors are is what we're going to be using. So I'll give you guys a second to tell me what the 2 factors are. Okay? Yes. All right, 10 and negative 24. How many people see that? All right, 10 and negative 24. And then we're going to divide by the a term. What's my a term? 3. You got to remember to divide by the a term. Okay? Now, can I reduce negative 24 over 3 to what? Negative 8 over what? 1. All right. Okay. So at the top, this will be factored as 3x plus 10 and x minus 8. At the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and take out a 2. I'm taking out a 2. So that's going to give me 3b squared plus b minus 15. All All right, so I'm going to do the x again. Okay. What is 3 times a negative 15? Negative 45. And 1 goes at the bottom. Can you guys think of some factors without putting on a calculator that could give us a positive 1? Nine and 5? No? 4? Give me a yes. Yep, that was called a mistake. This should have been a negative 30 for the 15. So that will change our number at the top. All right, that's called a mistake. All right, so we got negative 30 here, which will change this number at the top to what? Negative 90? Is that right? So I know 10 and 9 can some way give me a positive 1. Which one needs to be negative? The 9, all right? Then I have to divide by what term? The A term. You can't, oh, and I even put A. You got to divide by the A term, which is what? 3. Okay. All right, can I reduce negative 9 over 3? Yes, to what? Very good, negative 3 over 1. All right, so let me do this because I want to kind of clean this up. I'm going to rewrite my top. Now I'm going to put my bottom, which is also 3x plus 10. And this will be x minus 3 on the other side. All right, we're going to eventually get there on this problem. All right, so I've taken care of all of this fraction. Now we got to go to this one. All right, now we got to go to this one. Okay, so what do we say we're going to factor out at the top? What was that? A 2. All right, so I'm going to do it up here. If I take out a 2, and don't forget we took this 2 out at the bottom, we got to make sure we keep it there. All right, so if I take out a 2, this will become 5b squared minus 21b plus 18. Is that right? All right. And so let's do our x. Okay, what's 5 times 18? All right, you guys have calculators. What's 5 times 18? 90, okay. And this is negative 21. All right, so this one you might want to put on a calculator. So I'll give you a second. All right, and then we got to divide by which term? A term, which is what case here? 5, very good. Keep using my eraser. What was this other term? All right. All right, so we're going to reduce this to negative 3 over 1. Yes? All right. So now I'm going to come down here, because this is where my final answers are, and put in x minus 3 and 5x minus 6. All right, so we only have one more to factor. Okay. And what did we take out? Didn't we take out a 2? Got to make sure we keep that there. All right. We took out that 2, remember? So make sure you put that 2 back because it's going to cross out with this 2 here in a few minutes. All right, because we factored out a 2. It has to stay there. All right, let's move on, guys. This is the last one. Okay. All right, there's no common factor with any of these numbers. So let's go ahead and multiply 5 times negative 42. Somebody tell me what that is. Huh? 5 times negative 42. Negative what? Negative 210? All right. And then our bottom number is 29. Okay, put it in your calculator, find the 2 factors for me. And then, so 35 and negative 6, and then we have to divide by the A term. What was our A term? 5. All right, so let's divide by 5. So this is going to give me what, 7 over 1? Is that right? Okay. So now let's put our factors in. That's going to be x plus 7 and 5x minus 6. All right, so this is where we get into the cross-out game. All right, 5x minus 6, 5x minus 6. I'm going to cross out these 2's that we had on the outside. I'm going to cross out the 3x plus 10, the 3x plus 10, and the x minus 3 and the x minus 3. Anything else? That's the fun part. After you get it all factored, then you start crossing out like pairs. All right, so let's see what's left. What's left at the top? X minus 8. And what's left at the bottom? X plus 7 times, is that it? And that's it. All right, because I forgot to cross it out. All right, that took some time. I feel like I'm like, 100 years old now. That took some time. All right.